I've spent the last 3 weeks watching every Reckless Bin video on this Star Wars Lego collection, and then watching every other video that every other YouTuber has done, either about his videos or with Reckless Bin talking about them. And I think there are still 10 questions that remain unanswered that may not ever get an answer once all of this settles. So I'm here today to talk about those 10 questions. Okay, if you watched my last video, you know that I broke down the first Reckless Bin video and how I said that he created basically the perfect YouTube video. If you haven't watched that, go back and watch that now. But as a documentary filmmaker, the questions that I have for this keep coming up. And so I've narrowed it down to the 10 questions that I want answered, and maybe you want answered as well. So I'm going to talk about those right now. Number 10 for me is what happens to the employee at that Bricks Minifig that ended up being a part of their cult and giving them a lot of information. We saw in the video that she went back to work there because they had no idea that happened because he hadn't released the video yet. But now that the video's out, did she get fired? Did it really matter since they shut the store down? And then will she be a part of this lawsuit? If you watch the video again, you can see that there are times where her face is blurred out. Now, it's not all the time, so that's interesting, but I am curious if she gets brought into it. What happens to the sheriff's department? As we've seen from all the police footage that's come out, they kind of did a really bad job of policing, for lack of a better word. A lot of stuff they were supposed to do, they didn't do. So in my opinion, you gotta clear out that whole department and start fresh because they all seem to be corrupt. Next question, what happens to corporate? As you can see, the actual owner of Bricks and Minifigs is drawn into this, is a part of it. But will Bricks and Minifigs as a company die? Will they give it to someone else to run it? Will he still run it? Will he get away with all of this? Next question is, what happens to the two owners, Brandon Best and Joshua Johnson? Which, crazy that they have alliteration like that. But, you know, as far as I'm concerned, you watch the videos and Reckless Bin never lied once about what's going on. But I watched those guys, not only in their conversations with Reckless Bin and their manager and their employees, but with two different sheriff's departments, and obviously anybody to do with these lawsuits. It just seems like they're not telling the truth about this whole thing. So what will charges be for them? What will charges be for Reckless Bin? Will anybody actually serve jail time? I guess technically Ben has served jail time, but what happens to the owners? We know they don't own that store anymore, but I still think they have other stores. What happens to the lawsuit? I know that usually with a lawsuit, things get handled outside of court, even at a massive level. So this could all get swept under the rug when the judge sees it. But at the same time, it could be drug out. I mean, we thought that it would be over once he reached the cops, but only to find out that that was just another step in the massive problem of getting this back. So now we have to rely on, will the judges listen to him? Will more information come out? Obviously, we've seen a lot, but we have no idea what's been held back. There could be a ton more. There could be a ton more in favor of Bricks and Minifig. There could be a ton more in favor of Reckless Bin. There could be a ton more that's damning for both Reckless Bin and Bricks and Minifigs. So what information out there have we not seen yet? How does this impact the other investigative journalists on YouTube? Will they see this as a cautionary tale? Will they still keep investigating? It's kind of eye-opening to see someone who you feel like has a mountain of evidence be shut down by the authorities. So will this have a ripple effect over other investigative journalists on YouTube? Has customer trust changed? Will people still go to Bricks and Minifigs? Are you still going to Bricks and Minifigs? Have they seen a decline? I know they all put out a statement saying they're just franchise owners, they're not connected to this, but there has to have been some kind of drop. I don't even think they were supposed to do a consignment deal, but I definitely don't see that ever happening again at this point. And then what happens to these franchisees, these franchise owners? Do they start over? Maybe they shift. They find a way to get out of their franchise contract, and they, basically have their own business to kind of separate themselves from this lawsuit and from kind of the tainted name of Bricks and Minifigs now. So what happens to the franchisees? And I think the final and most important question is, will we ever get answers? The one thing that nobody thinks about is that this could all go away, and this could all be NDAs and people being silenced. There's so many times where you see, oh, this was settled outside of court for undisclosed amount, and nobody ever talks about it again. So this could be a situation where one day, when it's all said and done, those videos just up and vanish off YouTube, and Reckless Ben goes on to doing his next video and never discusses this again. We can already see he's not allowed to talk about it. So it might come down in the agreement to settle all of this that this never gets spoken about again. So those are my 10 questions that I have from watching all of these Reckless Ben videos on this crazy Star Wars Lego collection, whatever you want to call it. I've reached out to a local franchise in my hometown to see if they wanted to talk about it, how it's hurt them, and if they just want a platform to say, hey, it's not all of us. This was an isolated incident. Please still keep doing business with us. I haven't heard back. I don't expect to hear back. I'm probably pretty sure that they're not allowed to say anything, but I'm just letting you know that I did reach out to actually, kind of see what's going on from a franchisee perspective. So again, leave a comment, let me know. And if you haven't watched that first video, go watch that one too.